Good evening and welcome to the script. I'm your host, Isaac Paul. And this is going to be a pretty interesting show that we have for you tonight. And notice I said tonight because we're doing something a little different, right? I had a bit of an epiphany a little while ago, right? And I'm trying to think of what's the best way for me to articulate it, right? I came to the conclusion that I think I was coming on a little too early, right? Like, if I'm being honest, I was coming on too early for myself. Okay. Like, I would not probably have been watching the script if I were just a casual viewer because, 6, 7, almost 8 o'clock, that might be a little early for some of us, right? Like, depending upon what time you get off, if you got kids, what the kids are doing, the whole nine. I was kind of in that same slot as like the evening news, right? And we are nothing like the news. We are kind of more in that late night talk show kind of vibe. And so this epiphany hit me a couple of nights ago or a couple of weeks back. And I was like, you know what? Maybe we should start to experiment with a different time slot, right? And kind of tap more into that evening nighttime vibration, which is kind of when the most creative thoughts are occurring, and creative being a liberal word. But for those of you all that are just tuning in for the first time, I am your host, Isaac Paul. This is the script, which is the digital counterpart of the Tequila Tales. Now, what is the Tequila Tales? It is a fully engaging and highly interactive discussion on love and relationships. What it is not is a panel discussion. And I'm always certain to say that, and no shade to panels, but with the script, really what our goal is, which is the same goal as the Tequila Tales, is, with love, we all have a story to share. And so my goal has always been to get those authentic stories from the very people that attend the event, right? And so, I didn't want the script to kind of follow that same space. It is unscripted. Like, I mean, I've got notes. We've got things that we're going to talk about, right? But it's kind of casual, especially now that we're going into the late night vibe, So I hope that if you're tuning in, that you have a drink. If you don't have one, go ahead and run and grab one because we're going to have a really good conversation. I got a couple of topics and I also have a special guest, right? But before I bring up this special guest, there's something that I want to share with you all.
What happens when people stop talking? We stop understanding. We stop connecting. Right now, more than ever, we're living in a world overwhelmed with noise, but starving for genuine conversation. That is why I created Tequila Tales. It's not just an event. It's an experience. A place where authenticity, laughter, and truth collide. We explore relationships, culture, and life with an honesty that's rare, refreshing, and absolutely necessary. Every conversation at the Tequila Tales brings us closer together, reminding us that beneath every opinion and behind every laugh is a person craving to be seen, heard, and understood. This next show isn't just another night out. It's a powerful moment. It's a chance to reconnect, to dive deep into what truly matters, and to celebrate the magic that happens when we genuinely listen and communicate. Don't miss this opportunity to be a part of something special. The Tequila Tales is more than an event. It's a movement. It's community. And it's the conversation that we've all been waiting for. Join us, because with love, we all have a story to tell. On Friday, April 18th, we're taking it to another level. Literally. It's time to elevate.
Right back. They'd rather see me down, put my soul in the fire, but we keep going higher.
Okay. What you think about that? You know what I'm saying? Wasn't it good?
It was my favorite video you've ever created.
Listen. So for those of you all that are not familiar, I have my lovely co-host, who also just happens to be my wife, Casey Alana Austin, right? And so, I thought that it would be kind of
this weekend.
What are they calling you? Casey Paul.
Yeah.
They would call me Casey Paul because I say Isaac Paul and people think that that's like my last name, and so they call me Mr. Paul, and that's always kind of weird, right? Because it's already bad enough that I got 3 first names, but to call me Mr. Paul, it's like,
and you're the third one.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. Anyway,
Sorry, Brad.
but instead of me having a virtual guest today, I was like, you know what? We got a really big show coming up on Friday. So why not go ahead and holler at the homie, you know what I'm saying, who's helping me put it all together. You know, we can not only talk shop, but then we can just like dive right into the discussion, right? So really what I want to do, you know, we can talk about the event later on, right? Because I kind of feel like we got some other stuff that I want to address. Okay. You know, it's not often that I get an opportunity to have a woman, okay, on the script that can
Most
keep
of your
it.
guests are women.
Are they? I mean, I kind of feel like I've been having a lot of male guests recently.
I don't know. I think it's in your head. You had like one male panel, and you're like, I'm all men.
Yeah, but that was like 4 dudes, you know what I'm saying?
one-
and then it
and
was me
on
and
one
George.
show.
Listen, man, look, we ain't got
George
time.
was good.
George was good. Okay. All right. Anyway, okay, so I got a video.
Okay.
So we're gonna start it with this. So, like, just so you know, like we going all over the place tonight,
Okay.
right? So I hope you're prepared because the content is gonna be wide and varied.
Yeah.
But I saw a video. You know, I've been on Threads quite a bit lately. That's like my new social media app, and I saw this video, right? And while it was comical in nature, I felt like there was something that was, I felt like there was a deeper messaging behind it, right? So I want to show the video, right? And just FYI, you guys, we're streaming at about 5 different locations, right? So regardless of whether or not you're the only person that's in the room, if you comment, I'll be able to see it, and I can actually bring you guys in. Check this out, just to show you. See? Casey is watching from Arizona, which I would hope so because she's sitting right here next to me. But if you all comment in, I'll be able to not only see the comments, but I'll be able to interact with you guys live, and you all can join this discussion, make it a little bit more interactive, or feel free to just sit back and be entertained. But I want to get your perspective on this particular video because I thought this was kind of, we'll just call it unique, right? And so, yeah, you guys can tell me what you think about this.
Where'd you get those glasses from?
Baby, I got these from Forever 21.
Baby, girl, they look good on you. What's your name?
My name?
Yeah.
Maris.
Wait, are you a professor?
No.
What you do?
I do commercial real estate.
I need me one of them.
He said I need me one of them.
Period,
What you want,
like-
baby? What's up, baby?
Girl,
What's
I
up?
just want to say, girl, yo, lick is giving.
Look.
Girl, we should go get a drink sometime. You feel me? Me and you. You feel me? Oh, yes. Let me see. Let me.
Hey, you're not about to make me twirl.
No, not. Let me. Girl, I twirl for you too. Okay. Giving. Oh shit. Period.
You're giving me energy. I love it here.
We gotta hang out sometime. Get some mimosas. You know,
Okay.
it's whatever.
Hey, 7 days.
But yeah, for real though.
Oh, you switched up on me.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. We're gonna do what it do. You feel me? We're gonna go out and get some drink.
Hold on.
Nah.
What am I dealing with right now?
You dealing with the real one. You feel me?
Cause you catching me on some hey girl, but you switching up on me.
Yeah, cause that really ain't me. You feel me?
Okay. So what's your thoughts on that, right? What's your thoughts on that? All right.
Was
Yeah.
a
It
bait and
was
switch. That was
a little bit of a bait and switch, right? I mean, was it effective? Like, what were your thoughts on that?
Well,
I'm just curious.
okay. So I think women are a lot more open to like just making random friends in general.
Okay.
And we also know that like with our numbers, you could call and we could still block you, even if you were like a gay dude that we thought we could be friends with, but then you're kind of weird, whatever.
Mhm.
So it's not super abnormal that she gave her number to him.
Okay.
I probably wouldn't have.
Oh, so you saying that if you thought he was gay, but he was like totally vibing with your outfit and all of that, you still would be like, oh no, you would have stiff armed him.
Not
He
in a-
literally had you turn around and
Right.
was just like, oh my God, we should go and have some mimosas, all that other type of stuff. You'd kept walking like, oh no, I don't give my number to people.
No. It would have been more. It would have been more subtle. But if I did, I probably would have used the excuse like, I am so sorry. I do have to go. Like I said, like she already was quote
Mhm.
rushing. So if I didn't want to,
So you'd have
that's-
treated him like one of those people that ask you to sign up to pay the starving
Accurate.
children and stuff like that, to
well,
feed
maybe
the
not
starving
the
children.
starving children, but like other.
No, but you know how they be like, oh man, can I get you to sign up? And you're like, I'm really in a rush right now. You guys gonna be here in like 5 hours? I'm really in a rush right now. I'm sorry.
He might get that treatment.
But I'm
I
saying
don't
though,
need
like,
friends. I don't, gay or not. Like I don't have the bandwidth for more
okay,
friends.
okay,
I just
okay.
don't. But for him to switch, that was diabolical.
I mean, okay. So was it diabolical? Or was it effective?
Both.
Was it okay? All right. So let's say someone did that to you, and you were single, and you found them attractive. Was that creative? Was that funny, or was that misleading? And you kind of feel like,
okay, so it was creative.
Okay.
But I also can't unsee you act like that. Like that is, yeah. And not even that I would think that you went both ways just because you could, because I think actors have that ability to do whatever, but I still can't unsee it. So
okay.
yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I believe with you. Now let me go ahead and read what the comments section said, right? Because the comments, because I just knew that the internet loved to be homophobic when it can, right? But I went to the comment section because I was just like, oh, that was, and it was, what was funny was that when he started, there was, I kind of felt like he might not have been gay, right? As weird as that sounds. Oh, you did? Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, damn. So was he not doing a good impression? I kind of felt like he was. I felt like he was pretty true to form.
Up front, I thought that he was straight, and then he switched up and then went back.
Okay.
So I may need to watch it again.
Oh, okay. So interesting, right? But normally now these are the same men that will not let an actor wear a dress in Hollywood, right? Because that's a part of the agenda. So I just knew they about to tell my man's a new asshole. Well, turns out, of course, the comments section is always phenomenal, right? Somebody was like, he playing zest, not checkers. Okay, so I thought that was good. That he is a good actor. Somebody said, got to keep the first voice until the mimosas kick in. Right. I thought that was funny.
Right.
Don't take notes. I repeat, don't take notes. This was one of the fellas. You know what I mean? Somebody said, I go out with him and continuously remind him to stay in character. So I thought that was funny.
That's actually that's actually funny.
Somebody goes, he was in those cheeks later that week. Somebody said, ladies, why do y'all like this stuff? Right. So then someone said her guard down, she got comfortable. The switch up, she put an electric fence around her after that, shaking my head. Of course, once the other cats come in, but there was actually someone popular that I thought I'd earmarked his, but I can't remember who it was, but there was actually someone that was rather popular. It might have been Godfrey, where he made a comment where he was more or less saying that, like, a lot of times women will be more open and receptive to advances from a gay man than like a heterosexual man, right? And so, I think that's why I kind of felt like, okay, while this is comical, it is kind of fascinating that her guard was down and she was very willing to give the number. But I'm wondering, was there an approach that the normal him could have used to have gotten past that first line of defense? Businesswoman. What was it that she said she did? Did you remember?
Estate or
commercial real estate. So she making money. You know what I'm saying? That he got his jeans on. We don't know what his money looking like, but just normal casual guy trying to approach her on the street. I'm wondering what level of game would he have had to say in order to be able to get her number?
So I'm certain that there is some game that he could have run, especially if
a line.
Sure,
there's a line.
Yeah,
okay,
but and maybe not a specific line. Like it typically comes primarily from a man's level of confidence in whatever it is that they're delivering. So I think there is a path that he gets there. I don't think it's just like an across the board. If you say this will happen. I think that the reason is because historically heterosexual men are dangerous and objectifying. Gay men, when they're doing that, to have her like turn around and basically show her ass to him willingly, she didn't feel unsafe with a gay man. Like she didn't feel technically probably objectified in the same way that she does with a heterosexual man. So yeah, I don't know how a straight man gets her to do that spin. I could see you. But I do think that there's a path there. Like women like to be complimented, and some are significantly easier to get to do things because of a compliment than others.
Now, this is a fun conversation to have, right? Because one thing about you is she's the more intellectual type, right? And so you kind of live in your head. And so I'm probably not going to get as spicy of a response from you.
Oh, is that what you were looking for?
No, not at all. Not
okay.
at all. Because I know that you're going to be more level-headed with how you approach this, right? But inside of my follow-up, I guess what I'm curious to know is because, okay, we can go into the conversation about the bear and the man and who you feel safer around and the whole nine. I'm not going to get into the whole, internet debate about who's safer, a grizzly bear or, someone with an XY chromosome. But I will say, though, beyond the theatrics, I guess what I'm wondering is, because while I can understand the protection that a woman may have against the advances, I'm trying to figure out if I'm a man that's single, that doesn't exhibit any of those qualities, that is a staunch supporter of, women's rights, the whole nine. How am I supposed to break through all of those layers without having to put on the theatrics like my man just did, right? Like in a sense of it, because, and we ask this all the time inside of Tequila Tales, right? Like if I'm out in these streets, women, how do you want to be approached, right? Like how is a straight man supposed to approach you? Because you got some women in here that's like, oh, go to the gym because that's where you find them. But then you are not supposed to holler at a woman while she's sweating in spandex at a gym, right? But then I'm hearing women say, oh, well, that's where you go early in the morning to find the doctors and the lawyers.
They hunt, like the women.
They hunt the places that we're not supposed to be hunting. And I guess that's what I'm saying. So look, if you're watching this through any platform, if you got any insight, I'm curious to know, right? Like in a situation like that, if you are single or if you just got some advice, I'm curious to know in 2025, what is the best way for a man to approach a woman, right? Because as funny as that was and as comical, it was also disarming. So you are right. Maybe she can't unsee that. But at the same time, it did get her to drop her guard enough for them to be able to interact, and then maybe she's the type that said, oh shit, if he's secure enough in his masculinity to be able to cosplay a gay man, maybe this is someone that I actually can rock with, right? Because the switch up was real. It was like, yeah. So as you know, yeah. So when you saw that shit, when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, low key, that's brilliant. You know what I mean? Now I don't know if I could do it, right? Now I'm also not 6 feet, 200 and something pounds or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm coming in, and there might already be a supposition placed on me because I am a slimmer dude, right? In which case, like, a lot of times people are associating masculinity with like your height and your weight. You know what I'm saying? I'm a fit, slender dude that's under 6 feet. So any bit of me doing that right there, and it's like, oh, girl, that nigga gay. You know what I'm saying? So it's a dangerous game for me. I can't play that game. So the thing he did worked for him, right? And maybe it worked for him because it counteracted how he's naturally being perceived. You know what I'm saying? Versus me, I might need a different tactic where I have to be ultra masculine on some levels to let them know, don't let the size, don't let the smooth taste fool you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but okay. So I think the thing about it is it's hard to know how women want to be approached right now because it's a lot going on. In addition to like sometimes you don't even want someone to show interest in you no matter what they look like if they don't agree with you politically. Like I think the game has changed. And so many people I think are probably more comfortable meeting somebody organically at like work or a social setting. I mean, maybe not work, but like somewhere where
it depends on where you work at.
I'm just right. But just like you being in a scenario where you can like actually get to know them, because like approaching someone on the street, I mean, there are some like sweet ways to say like, I'm sorry, ma'am, I could not let you get on the train without me stopping you and saying something like, you're one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. Like something really romantic is very nice, but not everyone responds well to that stuff anymore. So I mean, I don't have to worry about that right now. I don't know what women would like to hear when being approached, not in those scenarios.
Okay. Well, just keep in mind, right? Because this is something that I think I'm going to, you know what? And maybe I'll make like a poll. Actually, that's a good idea. I think I'm gonna make a poll about this, right? Not only for anyone that's watching this right now, but you know, during the replay, anyone that has some insight. The question is I want to know, what do you think is the most ideal way for a woman to be approached in 2025, right? Now we're talking single woman available, single man available. I'm interested in you. How should I approach you, right? Because, you know, on one level, it's almost like I probably need to, first of all, I don't think you need to ask, are they in a relationship? That's just me.
No. She'll let you know.
Oh, and because maybe she available for the night, right? Like, I mean, that's what they say. Like, she will let you know.
What I said.
She will let you know, right? You know, because if you step up like, excuse me, I was like, they're gonna be like, no, I'm, you know, it's almost like when we anytime you go to a job spot, you back in the day when you would ask like, are y'all hiring? And they were like, no, we ain't hiring. No, oh no, man, all our positions are full. And that's all it is. So, you know, I used to instruct people, just come in and say, I like an application for employment, right? And you kind of let them decide. But if you walk in asking if they hiring, no, we ain't hiring. No, we ain't hiring. But okay, you know, that is a question though, once again. What is the most ideal way for a man to approach a woman in 2025? And this is something that I want, regardless of whether or not you're single or available. This is just something I want some feedback on, because I do feel like there are a lot of people that are trying to figure it out. And we're in a day and age where we're inundated with like content in the internet, right? And what's jacked up about content in the internet is how performative it is. Everybody's performing, right? And so when you see these major performances that people are putting on because that's what you have to do in order to cut through the algorithm, we start to believe that that's how we're supposed to operate in real life, right? And in real life, if you do that same thing, this woman is going to think you're a sociopath, right? Like, who comes up with this grandiose gesture that might have went viral, you know, online on TikTok, but in Boston, it's like, bro, I'm about to call the cops on you. You know what I'm saying?
That reminds me of, we talk about like Chris Brown videos back in the day. Like they just be walking along and he's
girl, you know what I'm saying? Like, but see, back in the day, we knew that was videos, right? But nowadays,
they might do like a R&B TikTok challenge to
no.
around.
I know. I'm saying nowadays it's getting worse because they're cosplaying like it's reality, right? And so the lines are being blurred behind when we're watching a skit and when we're watching something real.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so if people are becoming better actors. See, luckily right now the skits are shitty. Yes. But it's just like the Cheesecake Factory thing, right? I knew that was a skit. I was like, this don't look real. Because I looked at that woman, I looked at the dude, and I mean, they both look like nerds, but I was just like, girl, stop it. You know what I'm saying? You went out on a date with this dude. He's taking you to the Cheesecake Factory, which means there's shit on the Cheesecake Factory where you could leave and he spent $110 on you. We're not gonna act like you got a plethora of dudes taking you on $110 dates, right? And then he was like a Indian guy. Like everything about it, it didn't look real. And it was like, and why do y'all got the camera in y'all faces? So to me, it was clear it was a skit. Yeah. But it sparked an entire online debate that to this day still has men thinking I can't dare take a woman to the Cheesecake Factory or something that's on par with that. You know what I'm saying? Because of the damage that skit did. So that's what I'm getting at. We're living in a day and age where we're cosplaying reality and people are becoming better actors. And they also understand that you have to be more outrageous and more absurd in order to cut through the algorithm, right? And the more absurd they becomes, it's like, you know, it's the question of, does life imitate art or does art imitate life, right? And so then we get into this space where it's like, now all of a sudden, absurdity and being outrageous becomes a Tuesday, where a dude sees you, you know, just sitting there having some coffee at a Starbucks, and he decides to start doing this right here because, you know, it's some new TikTok challenge that some cute shorty responded to. And just imagine that. You just sitting there like just casually, you know, just working on your shit. And then all of a sudden the dude decides to come up and, you know, grind with me. Baby, what? You know what I mean? Like that shit, it's about to get weird out here. It's about to get really weird. It's already weird. Yeah. But I just think it hasn't fully come over into our day-to-day lives. Yeah. But shit, I mean,
so you talking about outrageous made me think of this tweet that I read, and it's obviously a situation now, and I think I want to know like how you would move if you were this person. So obviously, I'm talking about Kanye West.
Oh shit!
And he tweeted again, and you know, used the R word, but the Jay and Beyonce Riri kids tweet was not funny. It was just funny that I actually tweeted it. Isn't kind of like when Drake was hiding his child, you know, when you tweet shit and immediately look for more guns. And so someone replied, good grief, give it a rest. Neither Jay-Z nor Beyonce are going to give you the attention you crave.
Was that new? Did that just
that was the most recent?
Oh wow. Okay. So yeah, no, I didn't know about that.
So he like doubled down. And I thought about it, like, so it's a couple of things. Like when you have the resources, means, like Jay-Z clearly has the ability to like mob boss type means. Like you want to lay hands on somebody physically yourself, like, and as someone who's a father now, like, what would be if you're Jay-Z specifically, like you are him, you have his money, you have his wife, you have the fame, you have all that. What is your move for something so egregiously below the belt?
Now, we talking about like with a Kanye type figure, someone I'm close with, or just like random person on the street
specifically?
Oh man. Oh no, I'm nuclear. I'm nuclear. But see,
but you have so much to lose.
Now, okay, you know what? It's easy. So that's a good point. Because I'm giving my assessment as a dude. I mean, I clearly got a lot to lose inside of just the family. But I've never been in a position where I've personally been under fire that frequently. So like Jay-Z has to have armor that he's built up, because once you're accustomed to being on the top, you have to probably grow thick skin because you're used to people taking aim at the king, right? So at that point, I would like to believe that I've evolved, and I probably would be dismissive. But it kind of depends though, right? Because, you know, I got a lot of that sage in me, and, you know, the ability to pop off sometimes. And then I'll also have an incredibly strong protective streak. So I think knowing who he is and that he's trying to get a rise out of me, he'd quickly learn that the rise that he wanted wasn't the rise that he's getting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And now, whether or not that just continues to level up and become something else that's a little bit more sloppy, like I'd have to kind of assess that.
But you also have to keep in mind that,
but I'm not the hands-off person. And I'll say it like this, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but like I feel like there's far too many people that are taking the high road nowadays, right? And there are times where it's like, nah, sometimes you got to let niggas know how real shit can get. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how I feel about this administration. Like there's too many of us, even inside of our community. You know, I'm thinking about how many of us understand how jacked up a lot of stuff is with this administration, And I know that a lot of our celebrities, a lot of our athletes, like they're obviously trying to protect their bankroll, but I'm trying to figure out, okay, what is it going to take before you guys decide to get angry, before you all decide that, all right, now I draw the line, right? And I know who I am, and I fight the hardest when I'm protecting someone or something that I love, right? And so that's when that other side of me can come out, the warrior side that might very well say, "Oh, I can show you how quickly I don't give a shit about none of this. I'll burn it all down to make a point," right? And so I don't think that makes me better than anyone, but I think that there are more of us that needs to exhibit a little bit more outrage, because it lets people know who you can test and who you can't test, right? And because I think Jay-Z doesn't want to go back into his old ways, he's been giving Kanye this pass. But at the same time, Jay-Z is probably the one outside of Donda that could have checked this shit a long time ago. So his willingness to be hands off and to be like, well, as long as my money is good, whatever, like this kind of ambivalence.
We don't know that.
Well, I'm just assuming because I got a feeling like Jay-Z is the type of person that can let him know how real shit can get. And one of Kanye's issues is he ain't been slapped up. He ain't been hit in the mouth, right? Like, people don't have consequences nowadays. And so there's this reckless abandon that people feel when they just kind of feel like I can keep pushing you. But I promise you, the moment that people understand that there's consequences involved and they can see how real shit can get, that's when all of a sudden their wiser selves emerge. You crazy until the cops show up. Then all of a sudden you sober up, right? Because, oh, I'm not trying to go to jail, right? So it's like, but if I'm going to keep giving you the pass, then a person's going to keep pushing you, right? They're going to keep pushing you. Just like you see those little cat videos online where they just be like,
they look at you dead in the eye.
Dead in the eye. And if you don't do nothing, then finally they push it off and then it flies off to the side. It's like that with kids. Like, I'm going to keep testing you until I get a reaction. So it's like a game of chicken. So Jay-Z is trying to prove that he's higher than this. I'm above this. But it's like, all right, now you're talking about your kids and he calling them retarded. Like, how deeper are you going to go into this before you let them know, like, all right, bro?
Well, I can't remember, but it if I remember correctly, they were starting to launch like legal stuff again.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the reason that I make that point, and then also initially it sounded like you were going to try to like stay quiet and not give him the rise that he wanted. But I think what we're not thinking about is the fact that this could also be negatively impacting his children. Like, one is old enough to be on social media, the younger,
right?
If they're getting attacked or, they're very visual people. And so now you're putting my kids in danger. Right. And so that's why I was curious about what your response was, because sometimes he has too much of like a rabid, almost cult-like following to be saying such reckless things. And I think that's why I was curious.
Yeah. And Kanye is a special case, more so than anyone else that we've dealt with in the past outside of Trump, right? Where it's almost like certain people that really get off on antagonizing people, and you can tell that the majority of the purpose behind their actions is to get a reaction. So sometimes your strongest defense is ignoring them, right? But it doesn't make them go away, right? It's almost like a cancer, like ignoring the cancer because it's just a little nagging issue. It doesn't go away. It just continues to spread and fester and affect more people. And so that's what I'm getting at. Like, I honestly feel like one of the issues of what we're dealing with nowadays, with even like the whole incel thing, is because cool dudes kept letting these lame dudes run wild because cool guys are too cool to get involved and get engaged and all. We don't comment in on things or whatever. So
you're saying when trolls troll women, the cool guys are not,
or just the strong men, yeah, because we're too good for that. Just ignore it. They just want to right? But you don't realize you've got leaders, you got followers, and then you got these people in the middle that are just impressionable, right? So if leaders aren't leading, if they aren't getting involved, if they aren't consciously going into the communities and trying to say, okay, listen, I'm giving you another path away from the drug dealers and the rappers and whatever else. Like, I'm getting engaged. If you don't get engaged, then you leave these impressionable people to take their cues from other individuals. And then you look up and then you were trying to figure out why they're multiplying and we're diminishing. It's because you're on this talented 10th shit where you want to elitism, because you're being so elite and disengaged, and you're trying to figure out why you're outnumbered. You're outnumbered because you're not getting your hands dirty. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think it's just that. Like, I think it was a gradual rise. Like, I think, the trolls, they were getting in the comments and doing all the things they were doing. And, you do have most men who are sensible. Like, I don't respond to that. Like, they don't respond to, you see some dumbass shit happening in a barbershop, that nigga crazy and you leave. Like, you're just not engaging. And so, you kind of have, like, why would I, first of all, get invested in some online troll shit, and then B, disrupt my peace for people I don't know. Like, I'm not really thinking about other women that are being impacted by the things that they're saying. I imagine they're brushing it off the way that I am. And then it just kept growing and festering and multiplying and all of that. So I think, I do think that men, especially sensible men, should start getting more involved now that we know that it's clearly an issue.
Man, it's and you are right. You are right. It probably didn't start off as right. Okay, and you are right. But I will say that us being disengaged is what created. It's almost like people that don't vote. Right? You can't not vote and then get mad when, the world is running amok. It's like, well, did you make your voice known? Did you throw your hat in the ring? If you're not throwing your hat in the ring, you can't just sit on the sidelines and complain about everybody else that's not doing the thing that you want them to do. One of our good friends, that used to be his biggest issue, was he always knew what everybody was supposed to be doing, but he never started a business on his own. Mad that everybody else wasn't coming to him and asking for had all the advice, and mad that when he gave you some advice, you didn't just drop all your plans and all your efforts to run behind his ass, right? But now it's been fun over the last couple of years watching this nigga struggle, and not struggle, but getting your hands dirty, because now you see it's deeper than just your advice, right? You move differently when you got skin in the game. You see what I'm saying? And so for people to just sit in the back like that is an elitist thought process that believes that faith without works is going to create something. That I'm just going to, well, I have all the answers. And it's like, bro, don't nobody give a shit, because you got to literally have skin in the game. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if the hood don't see you, if you're not investing, if you're not showing them that you care, because that's one thing about manipulators, is manipulators will at the very least acknowledge you, because they want your attention. They want your, adulation, and so as a result, that's what they get. But if you want to ignore that sector of society exists, if you don't want to invest in them, if you don't want to bring them into the fold, then you can't be disappointed later on when they become your biggest adversaries, right? Because they could have been your allies, but you chose not to invest in them. And that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. But next question, you know what I'm saying? What's going on, Ursuline? You know what I'm saying? And my man Gerard, we saw him earlier. Okay, so next question. Because once again, like I told you, I'll be on Threads and I'll be seeing stuff. I thought that this was interesting. What's the dark side of handsome privilege that they don't talk about much? Now, on a personal level, okay, this is something that I've had to deal with. And I'm thinking about creating a focus group, because a support group. Thank you. Because, I'm getting tired of being objectified.
You are ridiculous.
Right? Like, appreciate me for my mind. Okay. Appreciate me for the value that I add. Don't just look at these long eyelashes and these dimples and shit. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. You know, sometimes I get tired of being objectified, right? But I thought that was a rather interesting. You laughing way too hard. That's all I'm saying.
The fact that it's like an epidemic.
It's an epidemic, but still, you are laughing awfully hard. Okay. However, what I did think was fascinating was some of these responses, right? And so the woman that posted said, "Ladies, y'all be nice." So they said, when you're young and underage, you get put in uncomfortable situations due to older women thinking they can just do or say inappropriate things.
You can see that.
Right?
Yeah.
Someone said, having handsome privilege can be a curse if you have no self-control. Being handsome with no discipline is dangerous. You'll run through bodies like it's nothing, and before you know it, you got a roster, no peace, and a soul that feels hollow as hell. You know, it's funny. Sometimes I click on these people's, but let me see how handsome you really are, nigga. And I ain't even trying to be the judgy guy, but like, really, bro.
Did that guy fit the bill?
Let me go ahead and look.
Okay.
Yeah. He all pretty handsome. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you know, he kind of husky, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Somebody said, so are we spot checking in this thread to make sure the feedback is indeed coming from those who are privileged by the handsome? Okay, so that's shade. That's funny. Okay, no, but I did think this one was interesting. Girls reject you if you're too handsome, and some girls assume you're gay. Add the fact that dudes assume you can't fight, and 90% of your compliments come from the elderly. LOL. I've seen the ugliest dudes wife the baddest women, yet I can't even get a text back. Apparently, the majority of women saying they like their men to be medium ugly, which that's a new phrase.
I have heard of this.
Yeah, I've heard of that
too.
Okay, yep. So we can see, and you can tell me,
sir. That's not why you can't.
Bro, you definitely at least medium ugly. Hold on, let me go to your page, man. You're a little bit more than medium. Nah, brother, no, that ain't that's.
So yes, the source of the comments matters.
That's bogus that you asked me to
But there's some points being made. For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And I think it's the same way as like pretty girl privilege, right? Because I can't remember who that was I was talking to recently where I was like, man, I can't remember exactly what this conversation was, but I was sharing about how a lot of times people make the assumption that pretty girls have no mind about them. And if you really are someone that is a deep thinker, but you just happen to be born gorgeous, as weird as it seems, that can almost become a bit of a handicap, right? Because of the fact that, and I'm talking about like strikingly.
Oh, Halle Berry talked about it.
Right. It was you we were talking about. We were watching that show, First on the Call.
Number one on the call sheet.
Number one on the call sheet, which is a documentary on Apple TV where it's basically about like all the top actors of Hollywood, you know, being first on the call sheet is when your name is at the top. So it pretty much means that the movie, you're the protagonist in the movie, and the movie is more or less based around you. And, you know, it's seldom that Black people, and they get paid the most. Well, not always, though, ironically enough. Not always, because there's a few people that were, think about Iron Man 1. Terrence Howard was making more than Robert Downey Jr. Yeah. So but they are oftentimes 95% of the time they are the highest paid. And so it was a really good documentary. They did a version with the men actors of Hollywood and then with the women actors of Hollywood. And it was fascinating to just see the juxtaposition of what they both experienced. But when it came to Halle Berry, they didn't really dig into her story, but she is someone that we were talking about, like that she literally had to beg, I think it was Spike Lee, to be a crackhead because he wanted her to play a different role in, was it Losing Isaiah?
No. Was one of
Damn,
her
she
first
played more than
movies.
one crackhead?
Yes.
This woman going
Somebody
out of
put it
her
in the
way
comments
to play a
because,
crackhead.
yeah, Halle Berry was actively trying to be a crackhead at all times. Like her audition, she went in no makeup, crazy hair, she did all the things, and she's done that for multiple types of roles, including, I think, Monsters Ball. Actually, I don't know that she had actually auditioned for it, but she played Dorothy Dandridge in The Story of Dorothy Dandridge, which was an HBO movie back then.
Right.
And
Good movie too.
it was very good. Dorothy Dandridge was an incredible actress and very beautiful. And they wanted her to play like the little sister, like a side character or something. And Dorothy was like, I want to be Carmen. I want to be the main character. But they were like, Carmen is really sexy. You're girl next door. You're not fit for this. So she came in to read for Cindy Lou, which was a character, but dressed and acting like Carmen Jones. So she's reading Cindy Lou lines, but like giving very seductress the whole thing. And she ended up getting the role for Carmen Jones. But like sometimes you have to really show people who it is that you want to be and be understood as, and just kind of taking it back to your point. Like, I think one of the assumptions about Pretty Women can be that we don't have a personality or we're not funny. I think not being funny is like across the board about women.
Because a lot of y'all ain't funny. Like, let's be honest. You're not.
I don't
you're
disagree,
not.
And don't be mad at me. I'm not a
not
pick me, but I don't meet a lot of really funny.
Yeah, and now the ones that you do meet, because when you mix a woman's natural sense of like empathy and ability to be able to intuit things with humor, when women have it, they have it strong. But I also think that it's one of those things where it's like they aren't required to have personality all the time, because of the fact that a lot of times men are objectifying them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're going to objectify me, then you get a lot of women where it's like, well, society is telling me that the only thing that's important for me to pay attention to is how well I upkeep my body, or how good I can beat out my face, or how good I cook your meals, these type of things. There's only a handful that's like, I kind of want some personality also, right? And so as a result, because I do think if all of a sudden society shifted, women have the capacity to do all those things, but I just think it's one of those things where it's the same reason why a lot of men aren't empathetic, because society hasn't required them to be until recently, as you get more women that are entering the workforce that are also earning, that's saying, okay, I need more than just you to bring in a paycheck, because I bring in my own paycheck, right? I need a more well-rounded partner. And so that requires someone that would find them interesting, or that would find them attractive, to be more than just a provider, right? And so I think that these things change, and it's no shade to women. Like, I know some of y'all like, I'm funny. I mean,
I'm funny.
I mean, low key you are, right? Low key you are.
Yeah.
You funny when you're not even trying to be. And be honest with you about shit that you probably don't like, that I'm laughing. I'm like, no, that's hilarious. Okay.
I'm funny in all ways.
Okay, so got a few more things, but before we go there, okay, so that y'all can have a quick little moment, right, to refresh your drinks if you need to. I told y'all, not only do I be on Threads, every once in a while I be on Instagram. My algorithm is pretty dope. I saw this, I was like, I'm gonna share this with the people.
Tomorrow will come, and girl, I can't wait. It's our anniversary. Yeah. The first thing I'll do is run straight to you. It's our anniversary. Anniversary. It's our anniversary. It's our anniversary. Yeah, anniversary. It's our anniversary, yeah. It's our anniversary. Made for you and me.
And I only make plans to hold your little hand. It's our anniversary. Anniversary, yeah.
The pleasure's all my goods. We have seen good times. It's our anniversary. Anniversary.
Victoria will be no secret at the end of the day. It's our anniversary. Anniversary. Yeah. A small cup of tea that you can have me. It's our anniversary. Yeah. Only want to say, darling, today is a special day we call our own. So take me in your arms, hold me, and tell me you love me, and I'll be there for you.
Do you know what today is? Do you know what today is? It's our anniversary.
It's our special day.
Today is. It's our anniversary. Made for you and me.
You better thank.
It was
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay.
I was nervous when the white girl came in.
That girl, you better stop it. See, racist. Don't even just gonna say that openly, right? I know, right? Especially with our jams, you know what I'm saying? Like, girl, don't mess it up.
Don't.
All eyes on you, okay?
Like if they tried to do Tevin Campbell, I would have been like, okay.
Man, listen,
Be
man,
careful.
they stay with the challenges, you know.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think sometimes I be getting a little concerned with, is just like, you know, it's like content comes at us so fast nowadays that I feel like when we were coming up, and I don't know what age group you guys that are watching is, but there was always an appreciation.
Feel free to shout out your
Oh,
age group. in the
girl, you better stop.
or
Ain't nobody finna do
your
that.
generation in the
No,
comments.
nobody's doing that.
Do it.
But do it. No, but do it. No, but you know, I feel like we had more of an appreciation, right? Like for like I ain't even gonna call it like the older generation, but I loved Whitney Houston growing up.
Mhm.
You know, I didn't have to listen to only artists that were in my age group, but I kind of felt like because of the way that just content gets disseminated now, it's easy to be a teenager and only want to listen to teenage artists.
Right.
Like, it's easy to be a teenager and look at Kendrick Lamar like he old, and it's like, oh wow, you know what I mean? Like, whereas when I came up, all the rappers were old. They were all older than us, and so I wasn't 15, like they got to be 17 or 20. You know, I was 15, probably listening to some rappers that might have been well into their 30s. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't see that as being something that was weird. I don't have a point with this. I just think that that's weird. That's a weird space for us to be in, where we no longer acknowledge or appreciate the values that come with age and wisdom. I'll leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? Because I do think that that's a.
Well, speaking of women who have age and wisdom,
Okay.
a couple of people went to space, but the people that I'm looking at right now are Oprah and Gail.
Okay.
Katy Perry.
Oprah didn't go to space.
She did not. She did not. Katy Perry and a bunch of other random women, one of which is Jeff Bezos' fiance. But Oprah shared this picture of her and Gail after landing and said, "My bestie Gail King went to space. There's a sentence I'd never thought I'd say." Now, I got this from my girl Sonia, who is hysterical, and she sent me this and was like, "I need this to get like a Nobel Prize. Like, this tweet needs to get a Nobel Prize." She said, if I slapped your book club sticker on a book called The Fucking Room, would you read it? It was my favorite thing today. I feel like us celebrating random people. This isn't like 12 astronaut women went to space and did something that needed to be done.
No.
We're talking about random women. I
Yeah,
think
5 women in the Uber that broke
and shot them in the air
that
for
broke
10
the
minutes.
stratosphere.
I think it was like 11
You
minutes.
didn't do nothing special. You
Come
ain't
on, y'all.
solved
Like,
nothing. You didn't do
nothing
anything.
was solved. They came back kissing the ground. What you kissing the ground for? If you loved it so much, stay your ass on it. Like, I don't understand what the purpose. Did you just want to see the stars? Like, how did you agree to it? How did this come about? Like, I don't understand.
I don't even want to get to, because we sit up.
By the idea.
We sit up. It's funny because I'm gonna try not to show who we are to these people.
It's way too late.
We sit up, man, and we have debates, right? And not even really debates. They be more like TED Talk type.
Yeah.
Because it's a bunch of bullshit that's happening in this world right now. And both of us are trying our hardest to not just go off the deep end and to be crazy, right? So I know some of y'all might see me sitting here on the script sometime and they're like, man, he really heated. I need y'all to understand, she gets the majority of it, right? Like, because when the camera goes off, somebody got to get this heat, right? And I'm trying to figure out, what are y'all doing? Like all y'all, even y'all that might be watching, maybe y'all ain't part of the, like, I'm trying to figure out, if they watching it, probably not, right? Because this seems to be the sanity circle. Maybe that's what I'm gonna change this from the script to the sanity circle, because it's like, so Gail has been under fire, right? Because Gail is getting heat. And she had to go, she came on, she did this whole video kind of like explaining herself, and like, it's like a quasi apology / explanation.
I don't want her being the only one who's getting heat, but she should. I
feel like everybody is.
I think the biggest names are the other people on it. We don't even really know that.
Right. And here's my deal. You want to know why I think she's getting more heat? Is because I don't think it's just because she's a Black woman, but I think it's because she's a Black woman, part of the 92% that's also in media. And you're hopping on a rocket that Jeff Bezos, who we know is anti-DEI, you know what I'm saying? And not to shade Jeff Bezos, but just to say that it's like, when you start stacking all of this stuff together, it's almost like, Gail, what you doing? Like, right now, Trump is doing everything in his power to dismantle our democracy. Like, they are defying the Supreme Court. They are sending people to Salvadorian prisons. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that's happening, and we literally were questioning, are we about to slide into a Great Depression because of these self-imposed tariffs? That literally, all of this just happened last week. And then this week, it's like, hey guys, I just went into space for 11 minutes. Gail, if you don't sit your ass down, okay? Sit your ass down, because now is not the time, okay? So we got 92% is saying, let's all chill and not, right, we don't say the, all right. 92% is saying, we rested. But Gail ain't rested, apparently. Because Gail is goddamn space, space cadet Adams. Like, girl, if you don't sit your ass down, what are you doing? Okay. Now, here's the deal. You can do it, but I don't know if what they realize, what that's looking like, is it's feeling like a very elitist type of a move, right? Like, you literally have people that are afraid about how they are going to pay for their bills. Am I next on the chopping block? If this economy skids down, I might not be able to pay for things. But a bunch of women, aided by Jeff Bezos and his new chick, go into space for a couple of minutes, and we're all supposed to care about it. Like, so I get the heat. I'm not saying she shouldn't have done it. I'm saying, if you choose to center media around you for a
They were on
period.
the cover of Elle. Like it was.
I'm not about to celebrate that. I'm not about to celebrate that. And I saw somebody in the comments say, I'm tired of people. I can't remember if they said, they didn't even say black women, but they were just like, I'm tired of people having to explain doing something that their money allows them the ability to do, or something like that, or whatever. I can't remember exactly how they worded it. In which case, I concur with that. However, if you choose to center media around it, because this ain't just her social media, this becomes media, right? And so when I wake up and I turn on CNN, I'm trying to make certain that my 401k is still intact. But Gail and Katy Perry and a bunch of other women whose names I don't know went to space. Now with me, I don't care. So do what you're gonna do. But when they get heat, I'm just saying I understand it, right? And take it on the chin, because you had to have known. And if you didn't know it was gonna come, then that to me shows how tone deaf you are. And I'll give you an example of that. How many times have you and I even questioned whether or not we should be throwing the tequila tails during a period when our people are in many ways kind of under attack? We can even see it in sometimes what can be strong demand but slumping ticket sales, and we know that has nothing to do with the quality of the event. It has nothing to do with the marketing. That might have to do with the fact that people are questioning whether or not this is an expenditure that they want to take right now, and we're sensitive to that. It makes us sometimes want to recoil a thing that we've done for over a decade that adds value to people. We question whether or not we're being insensitive in throwing an event that helps people to connect and engage. If we're thinking that, Gail, you that gets the headline and reads the headlines wasn't expecting any blowback from going to space for 11 minutes with Jeff Bezos?
I hesitate to say negative things about my elders, especially those who are trailblazers, and I still very much look up to. Like, I know Gail and both Gail and Oprah are looked at a certain way in our community by actually a much larger segment of our community than they used to be. I think they were much more revered before. I think they've both and individually have made moves that have made people pull back.
Right.
Understand it. I personally still very much appreciate what the spaces that they've paved the way in and things like that. And it may be because as a kid, like I had to read all of Oprah's biography and do all the reports and stuff. And so there is a level.
Oh, it'd take a lot for me to say something bad about Oprah.
I still mess with Oprah to a degree, but I do think that they both have, in many ways, like outdated thought processes, in the sense that, like, certain systems and not procedures, but like customs, like those sorts of things are to be respected. And oh my God, this is major for science. And sometimes they think of things from an intellectual perspective as opposed to a cultural perspective. Like, you're not saying, not even just us, but just people. Like, people are struggling and have been, which is why several of them voted the way that they did. But like, there's a lot of people in really difficult positions. And now, like, I was listening to The Daily, which is the New York Times morning show podcast, and they were interviewing a small business owner, and she makes these like baby placemat things with suction and silicone and all the stuff. She went on Shark Tank at a point. She started from the ground up, went on Shark Tank. She got offers, but denied them because they wanted too much equity. But she ended up, building on that momentum, and she's had a successful business since. Historically, she's made about 15 million in profit, which sounds like a lot, but it's not.
I mean, it's not bad.
No, it's great, but she's got employees, she's got overhead, she's got all these things. So when the tariffs were announced, for her initially, like she knew just based on the campaign and all that stuff that that's what they've been talking about. So let's talk about what 20% tariffs look like or 30%, and we'll build that in and prepare for it. She's like, that's something we were ready to absorb. We had the margins. Fast forward to 100% tariffs and 150 or 40 some percent tariffs, and she's like, and we're done. Like, not only are we done, but I had to put my house up to get any loans. We will be homeless now. Not only does my business go under, we will be homeless. So I think it's not just affecting like the ultra poor, like the middle class with 401ks and all that. You also have the small business owners that for us don't seem that small, but that is a small business. And it's just, I don't think they always read the room as well as they need to. Just to kind of circle back, I went on a ride there, but you know.
Oh, look at this. Mark Thacker. Oh, he looks familiar. This gentleman looks familiar. They're being described as the crew of Blue Origins. The next time I take a commercial flight, I expect to be recognized as such.
What is he talking about?
Talking about the women that went Stop it.
That's good.
Nope.
No,
but yeah. So no. But no. I totally agree with you though. And I do believe that is what's unfortunate about everything that's occurring is how much people cannot see beyond what's happening right now. Right? They still think that this is a red versus blue thing. They still think that this is a white versus black thing. And it's not. No. It's not even a rich versus poor thing. It's an ultra wealthy versus everybody else. And the most fascinating thing is how many people feel like they are a part of their crew. And I'm talking about people that may very well have $50 million in the bank, right? Like, I mean, you know, you start seeing people crying when the market started to tank because they lost $10 million in a day. And they got spared. They got spared because Trump was never really that invested, right? Like, you guys are actually lucky that Trump is not invested in anything. He does not care about any of this stuff. Like, that's actually what makes him dangerous, is that he doesn't care about any of this stuff. Like, some people that love him, like a Steve Bannon, because they think he's the bad guy. And it's like, no, Steve Bannon, he'll shit on you too. Oh, yeah. Like, you saw what he did to Rudy Giuliani. Like, he does not care about anyone, right? And so whether you like him because you think he's a good guy or you hate him because you think he's a bad guy, he's this character that belongs to no team. He's a chaos agent. So the only people that really should reasonably be excited about him are people that like chaos agents, people that are anarchists. Because if you're an anarchist and you're like, I just want to see somebody, wreak havoc and tear all of this stuff down. Oh, well then strap in, because it's about to be a fun ride. This is your guy, right? Like, but anyone else, it's like, to believe that there's strategy that's baked into any of his actions, it's not. It's just someone that loves attention. He is literally the old white version of Kanye. And I don't know when y'all are going to recognize that. If you would not want Kanye to be the president of the United States, recognize that you just elected the white old version of that. He's saying what he has to say right now to get your attention. It might change tomorrow, right? And there was a lot of people, like when they put that infographic up of how many people have lost money, like those people that went to his inauguration, like Tim Cook, Apple has lost like $1 trillion. $1 trillion since this man has been in office. Even when I say that, it's like, what? Crazy. Yeah. Like Elon lost like 400 or 500 billion.
That makes you
a little excited. Honestly, I get excited for all of it, because it's like all of you guys are
Apple, and they've been like holding down on the D, I think.
I mean, but yeah, they have been, but they've also been really invested in slave labor over in China. You know what I mean? So it's like nobody really is a good guy in this thing. And the funniest thing has been China's clapback.
Oh my God.
Like,
is that big?
It really is epic.
Yeah.
But what I don't think that people are really even recognizing is how this is going. This isn't just going to affect luxury brands.
Mhm.
See, intellectual property is something that you can secure here in America because of American law. We've more or less had a handshake agreement with the rest of the world, right? Where they would not violate our IP because of our trade relationship. Because if you started duplicating our products and stealing our tech and slapping your name on it, then it would disrupt the other things that we had in play. But now that Trump is like, you know what, 150% tariffs. Like now China's like, oh, okay, you want to play this game? And now that they're playing that game, they're like gloves off, right? They have the capacity to literally duplicate and replicate every piece of tech that we create, that we have a patent on. Who gonna check them?
Who gonna check?
Who gonna check them? Who is gonna check China from taking an iPhone? They've been building them. It's not like they're gonna give you a cheaper version of it. They literally have been building them. So what stops them from saying, you know what, forget the iPhone, we're gonna call this
Whatever.
the L phone.
Right.
This the L phone now. Like, just don't even like. They might not even get creative with it. They might call it the A phone. This the A phone.
Not only will they not get creative with it, they will make it better, and they will make it so
cheaper.
that, well, not only cheaper, but they'll make it so like you don't have to update as often.
Oh my God.
To get the newest apps and stuff. Like they will do all the things. Like we know they're not putting charger blocks in there no more. We got the charger block. Like we just gonna start doing all the shit that they've stopped doing.
They will literally cripple.
Let me tell y'all something.
They will cripple.
China is about
so
that life,
many...
and they've shown that they're petty, and they will do it.
Yeah, I saw when they were talking to the president recently, and that man looked them dead in the eye and said, "We have been around for 5,000 years." When I tell you, there has never been more of a mic drop that could have been said. No. Then in that moment, we have been around for America ain't been around for 500. Just for context, y'all. For those of y'all that do not, because I know a lot of people don't pay attention in school, in history, right? Y'all want to get rid of CRT and burning books. America ain't been around for 500 years. They said we have been around for 5,000 years, and we plan to be around for 5,000 more. When I tell you, they didn't have to say nothing else from that point forward. I was just like, Trump, you are collective. But see, here's what pisses me off about all of this. The find out isn't just going to extend beyond when Trump dies from old age, or all the rich people get tired of him because he's tanking the economy. When he goes away, these relationships that have been built for over 250 years, these alliances, these strategic partnerships, they don't just turn on a dime, because what they'll realize is that it wasn't just about Trump. Trump was the symptom. It's a lot of y'all that still believe in this bullshit that he's saying. So they're going to need to make us feel it. Our children are going to feel it. Our children's children are going to feel it. So all these people that feel like, oh man, this is just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't blame China. I'm not necessarily rooting them on, but I get it, because the nonsense that I see happening from this administration is like, yeah, this is dangerous and this is reckless, and people need to understand that there are consequences. I just feel so unfortunate that it's not just Trump and his supporters that get to feel this. I really wish it was like we could just split this bitch, and then they can be over there and we can be over here, so that when they want to tear the hell out of them, we can still have our relationships with the remainder of the world. Because nobody's going to trust us moving forward, because what we've shown, whether it be the Supreme Court, whether it be Congress, whether it be the citizens, because this is so much bigger than one man, right? Nobody is checking this man, which means that even when he gets out of office, the entirety of the world will recognize we can't trust America anymore, because all it's going to take is another charismatic but slightly loony individual to get in this position. And you all system has already shown me that those checks and balances that you all have in place, they weren't stress tested, right? Nobody's going to trust us again. And I'm telling you, we going to be feeling this shit for decades. And I'm going to say this, and I hate to say it this way, but white people, y'all going to feel it more than we are. Y'all going to feel it more than we are. We going to feel it, but y'all going to feel it more, because if the entire standard of living reduces, like people that are mad at what China's doing, people that are pissed about Hermes bags and all that stuff, it ain't people in the hood that cares about exposing Hermes and all these high-end fashion brands. No, these are people that can afford that shit, right? When crypto takes a nosedive, yeah, it's a few black people that's going to feel it, but you know who's really going to feel it? People that are heavily invested in that space. Same way with the stock market. That's what's going to be so serendipitous, right? So we going to feel it from a 401k perspective, but Black people are way more resilient. We've shown that we are way more resilient than our counterparts, and that's going to be the only consolation. But I'm gonna stop this line of conversation there.
Yeah.
That is going to be the only consolation, is watching so many people that are so deep into this Trump trance, watching them be humble. Because there's so much humbling that needs to be done. There's so many of you guys that y'all have made a little bit of money in the stock market on Robinhood in the past 5-10 years, and y'all talking real greasy. Sometimes they be sliding in my comments sometimes, talking real greasy. Man, scared money don't make money. Bro, the fact that you are friends with me on Facebook lets me know, nigga, you are not a part of you would not be. I ain't friends with the 1% yet.
It's like
you are not, bro. You ain't one of them. You not one of them. If I'm telling you, I'll be saving some people's address just so I can go to their pages and troll later on. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be that guy.
And this is the thing.
I'm gonna be that guy.
I know it's gonna affect us.
It's definitely gonna affect us. I'm not happy for it.
But
yeah.
But it's interesting how. And I know a lot of blue cities are located in red states, so that's unfortunate sometimes. But like, it feels like these other countries are going, in some of them are going out of their way to try and punish specifically red states, like or red companies. Like right. China stopped all Boeing contracts.
That's crazy. That's
no
crazy.
Planes from us, and those are big dollar items.
Right.
They stopped buying beef from us. Stopped all that. That is one of our major exports for our farmers. They getting all that shit from Australia. Y'all ain't the only ones that can raise cows, bro. Man. And they probably more quality.
Oh my goodness.
So doing that, like I saw these laws where they're targeting, like how fucking wild would it be if they were like, we will hack into your system, see how people voted, and when they go to check out in their cart, they get a discount. Like how that would be like a Marvel movie.
They start welcoming Black people. Hey man, you know what, man? Like we rock with y'all. You know what I'm saying? As long as you can show us that you are registered, you know. Like I don't know. I just know that we are, man, we are in to find out. And y'all, we only like 4 months in. That's the wild part about it all.
Three.
That right. We ain't even credit. But listen, man, to shift it, here's another incredibly powerful and poignant topic that I want your feedback on. I saw this on Threads, man. Who had the most impact on Marvel? Right? So we got Blade, we got Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, okay? We got Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, and then we got the Wolverine. Who had the most impact, right? So just as a curveball, okay?
It's so random.
It's random, but it's kind of brilliant though, man, because I'm telling you, they was eating in the comments, man, and I I was like, ooh, you know,
Okay,
it was
so
kind of interesting. What you think?
embarrassingly enough, I don't know enough about Blade. Like, I feel like
Okay.
not that he was before my time. I just wasn't really checking for Wesley Snipes outside of like New Jack City.
Okay. Now, just to give you a little bit of history on that,
Mhm.
Blade saved Marvel.
Okay.
Marvel was going into bankrupt,
Right.
and they created Blade. Blade killed it at the box office, and that's literally what gave them the money to be able to continue on with the MCU, which was the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it kind of paved the way for an Iron Man, which was, you know, about a decade or so later. But just saying that they were on the verge of bankrupt. So meaning they probably would have had to have outsourced all of their characters. You wouldn't have, there would be no Iron Man without Blade as far as the MCU goes, right? And so it was an interesting debate, man, in the black nerdosphere. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, okay, so at the foundation, obviously that would mean that Blade wins. But I think there's probably an argument to be made that Marvel never gets to this point if Iron Man wasn't as dope as he was.
okay,
Like, would people have bought into all these characters that they had never heard of? Because there's a lot of Marvel characters that people have never heard of that you never, like, I didn't go to the theater to see Green Lantern. Like that, just because it was a superhero, that was not.
It was a shitty movie, but you know,
right? But
I mean, you know,
but before,
I watched it, but it was not
but
good
before
at all.
all of the Marvel movies,
And that's
had been
DC too, but you know.
right. But before the way that they did the movies, you didn't just go to superhero movies like that because they were a superhero movie. Now you may, like, you may go see the Blue Beetle or the what's the one with all the foster kids? Shazam.
Oh, right.
Or that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Is it Shazam?
Shazam.
Shazam.
It's DC, but you're right.
Fine. But you wouldn't just,
actually, Blue Beetle might be too.
I think it might. But you wouldn't just go to those back then.
Well, I don't know about that though. Because Batman.
People were into Batman. Batman was a big one though.
Yeah, Michael
But
Keaton.
I'm saying you wouldn't just go to superhero movies simply because they were superhero movies.
Oh, okay.
You had to know,
I see what you're
like,
saying.
those
They had
were
to be major.
big characters.
Oh, I see what you're
if
saying.
Aquaman just randomly came out, you were not going to see Aquaman. And so I think Robert Downey, not to take away from Wesley Snipes because he is an incredible actor, I think what Robert Downey Jr. did with Iron Man, this is the nerd in me, I think he took those characters to a different height that we haven't seen and made the whole universe like really cool for people. Okay. And then they started to really get into and develop the other characters.
All right, but listen, man, because that was my take. You know, when I'm going back and forth with people. Who would have thought it? Right? Now it was funny because, you know, I almost felt anti-black because there was a few people, and there was one brother in that thread that was like, man, it just feels like all these white people in this thread are going out of their way to not acknowledge, you know, Wesley Snipes and the impact that Blade, right? And I was like, oh shit, I was like, all right, I guess I'm that guy right now, you know what I mean? But
Dr. Umar would be ashamed.
Would be totally pissed off. And to be clear, Blade was and still is my shit. Like it is literally a movie I can queue up tonight and still enjoy. It was executed wonderfully, like flawlessly, at least the first one. I mean, they started getting a little weird around 3, but it was a solid trilogy nonetheless. It was a solid trilogy.
I hear really good.
However, the reason why I made my decision that I did was because if we look at the meme, okay, the question was who had the most impact, right? Okay. Now, not significance, but impact. Now, if we talk significance, then I might go back and I might say Wesley Snipes, right? Because without him, you don't get the other stuff, right? As well as even just the superhero genre, because, you know, if you really like, okay, Batman was the shit. That was back in, and that was DC, to be clear. Because Superman and Batman, you know what? Superman and Batman, both DC, they were kind of running things. And so when you think about the Marvel superheroes, Blade was the first one, like that kind of
But Tobey Maguire's
So
Spider-Man was kind of the
Now,
catalyst, though.
it was, but wait a minute though, hold on, no, because let me see when Blade came out though, because you are right about that.
Like on the Marvel side, we never saw a Spider-Man with those kind of graphics. Like that was what really, I think, sold it for people. Like it was a good movie, but I think the graphics.
Okay, so that came out in 2002.
What?
Okay.
Blade?
No, Tobey Maguire's
Spider-Man.
right.
Okay.
But Blade came out in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
So one, I still give Blade the edge on that, but not to get too deep into the semantics. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was actually Sony. So that wasn't even a part of the MCU.
But it's still a Marvel character.
It's a Marvel character, but hold on, let me double check because I think they were saying, are they talking about Marvel? Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, so it does say Marvel. So, and they do have them on there. And if I'm correct, that Spider-Man came out shortly after 9/11. And we really needed something to make us feel whole, American.
It's based in New York.
It was based in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was so, and that's why I love that. I was like, there really ain't no wrong answers other than Wolverine. You get that
Right.
shit out of here. If you said Wolverine, then I'll just stop smoking. Stay off the weed. No, but however, when we talk about impact, I think Robert Downey Jr. And largely because, like you said, without him, you don't get the whole MCU. You don't get Thor. You don't get You don't get Thanos. You don't get the Avengers. You know what I'm saying? And so I compared it to like when we talk about the GOAT debate in basketball, right? Like we could talk about Wilt Chamberlain and all the championships he won, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but we say Jordan, and it's because he had the most global impact. He is the reason that the NBA really went here. He had the most impact. Now, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird saved the NBA when they were close to bankruptcy with, making it more popular. So they may be more significant than Michael Jordan, but Michael Jordan has more impact. So yeah, I agree with you on that. All right, that was just like a little nerd caveat, you know what I'm saying, that I was just kind of curious about. Okay, now finally, all right. Oh, hold on, wait a minute, because I think it might have been one more little video. Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta do this one. And not really, but I'm curious to get your feedback. No, you know what? No. What do you think about this though?
Why is it so expensive to support black-owned nightlife? Let me say it again. Why does it cost so much money for black folk to go out to have a good time? Friday night, I had a free Friday night. I wanted to go see one of my favorite DJs who was DJing early. I'm a DJ fan. I want to keep track. I want to know what's going on. So I go to this club. Soon as I pulled up, $20 to valet. Why? Nobody was there. You got your own parking lot. Why am I paying $20 to park on your parking lot if I'm spending money in your business? Listen, that's a whole nother subject, right? Here's another one. I get to the door, $20. Nobody's there. I go in, it's like 30 people. $20 to get in. I'm $40 in. I go to the bar. I order me an old fashioned. And guess what? Guess how much it costs? You already guessed it. $20 plus a 20% gratuity and taxes. I'm $25. I'm $65 in before anything happens. I sit at the bar. By the end of the time I was there, another old fashioned and an appetizer. And guess what? I'm over $100. Who can afford to do this several nights a week or even every weekend? Imagine if I was with my wife. Over $200? I don't get it. But here's the funny part. The very next night, one of my white friends had their birthday toast. I went to the bar they were at. Guess what? I get to the place, same style, same everything. Guess what? How much was it to park? $0. They had their own parking lot. There was no valet. I get to the door. Guess how much it cost me to get in? $0. No money. I go to the bar, ordered the same old fashioned. Guess how much it was? $8. $8. Why is a black-owned establishment or a black-owned business, why do we charge our folks so much money? I go out to a regular place to get lamb chops. Guess what? It's $20, $19, lamb chop appetizer. I go to the black club, $40, $45. For what? I'm trying to understand. Why are we taxing our people so much? Is it really that much more expensive to throw a black party than a white party? I don't get it. I mean, I've been in the business. I've owned clubs in DC and Baltimore and Atlanta and restaurants. I get the business. I understand it. But guess what? I don't understand the disparity between what we're charging each other. And it doesn't matter. Big city, small cities, Birmingham, Houston, Miami, New York, LA, same thing. I don't get it. Why are we taxing black people so much to go out and have a good time? And listen, if you agree with me, tell me in the comments. If you disagree with me, tell me in the comments. Send this out to your promoter friends. Send this out to your owner friends, restaurant owner friends. Y'all help me out. Why are we taxing?
So Casey, why are you taxing black people to come to the tequila tales? Okay, y'all charging $20 early bird ticket. You used to charge $15, but now you charge $20, right? And then when you get in, you still got to pay for your drinks, right? And then you got food. I got to buy my food myself. How come the $20 don't include parking, don't include food, don't include unlimited alcohol all night? Casey, I'm trying to figure out, why are you all charging for an incredible, amazing time? Why is it that black people can't just show up for free and just kick it?
Okay.
What you got?
So first off, lower your voice.
Right. Well, I wake this kid up in the back, right?
Man, you wake
what are
that
you talking
baby
about?
up. We gonna have
Shit,
words.
I know, right? I know.
So that was legit. So,
I mean, it was,
yeah,
right?
no. So two things: our prices compared to what he named, vastly different.
Right, it is.
But I wonder if, like, and I can't speak to being a business owner or restaurant owner or any of that, especially in like a black city, because he's talking about Atlanta, but he said it, you see it in LA or DC or
Right.
all these other cities. I wonder if they know there's a shelf life on their restaurant, bar, or whatever, because most of them don't last long. And they are trying to squeeze every dollar that they can. And also, because to your point about us, the cost of doing business is expensive. And oftentimes, like, if you don't pass some of those things along to your customer, you just can't do it. Like, you'd be doing it as charity. But the exorbitant, like, overinflation that I know restaurants and bars can have can be the cost of goods and services, or just supply chain for them is sometimes higher, or they have a hard time getting a loan, small business loan, whatever the case may be. So their overhead can exceed or be, it's just not a good comparison to white owned businesses where they're trying to do a lot more things to stay in business, and offer an elevated experience if that's what they're trying to do. But some are just like, they are trying to make their money. I know some shady business restaurant owners, and they be on some hood shit. Like, let me just try to get as much as I can. There's one that we knew that we at our event at. I'm not even going to insinuate who it is, but you already know who it is.
Without even knowing what it is.
He would open restaurant and club after restaurant and club, like, every few years. And he was always on some nigga shit and always overinflating prices and doing all kind of shady shit. So, like, I don't know. And I don't want to say that's what it is for all these restaurants.
No, and it's not. And so it's interesting, right? Because I think that on some levels, like, I feel like he was speaking about a specific type of experience, right? And there's always the club scene, when you go out and there's the bottle service. So of course, a bottle that would have cost you $30-$40 at the liquor store is easily costing you $200 to $300 at some night lounge or whatever. Everything is super expensive. Lately, they've even been adding gratuity, regardless of the size of your party. Normally it used to be like for parties over 5,
Right.
we add gratuity. Now they like, nah, nigga, every drink that if you get some water, okay, for free, we gonna tap we gonna hit you with the tap fee. You know what I mean? So it's like, I can understand how that feels. But I think that it's a little bit deeper than just those few establishments that are price gouging. You know, I think on one level, like let's take us for instance, Tequila Tales, and this isn't just to explain away our prices, but it's to say this is what goes into it that I think sometimes people don't consider, right? So we want to create an experience for you, right? You've got the venue. The venue says we don't need a promoter to come up in here because we're the venue. And so if I, as a creative, say I want to do something there, I have to incentivize the business to want to do business with me. In which case they say, okay, cool. I'll give you a night that's not one of our top nights. However, we have what's known as a food and beverage minimum, which means that you're guaranteeing that your crowd is going to meet a certain point that justifies us opening for business, bringing out the necessary servers, security, whatever. And so you say, okay, cool. So from that point, we now understand that if we don't meet this mark, whether it's 2,000, 4,000, 5,000 or beyond, whatever that difference is, we have to make up, right? So now we enter into this partnership. Now I'm creating an experience. Maybe I want a band. Okay, who's going to pay for the band? I have to pay for the band, right? Okay, I want a DJ. Who's going to pay for the DJ? Well, if the venue's not paying for the DJ, I have to pay for the DJ. Okay, there's another one. All right, I've got somebody that's at the front door that's checking tickets because my only source of revenue generation is primarily going to be ticket revenue, but I got to have somebody there because as the host, I can't be the person that sits at the front door. Okay,
Bougie.
I've got to get your ass out of here. I have to, get someone to, so that's another, person that I have to pay. And so, all of these costs start to mount. And, some people still say at the end of the day, I want to make some. And so maybe they throw a little something on top of it that might not even be an exorbitant amount. But like, let's say that they themselves say, and I need to at least make 1,000 off of doing this, right? Well, just minimally, if 100 people are going to that event, that 1,000 that they need to make is also a part of the ticket. So you divide 100 by 1,000, and when you get 10, so that alone, in order to pay the dude that's doing it, that's $10. So when I say that to you, you like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. Well, if I added each person on top of that, that's how you get to the ticket price, right? And this is just admission for the experience. This still doesn't pay for the alcohol because that's where the bar comes in. The venue itself has to make money, right? So they are making money off of food and alcohol. So your food and your alcohol purchases is one thing, but then the person that's creating the experience is another thing. And sometimes it feels exorbitant, but it's like a legitimate real thing, because how else do you get this curated group of people where someone has skillfully crafted an evening of entertainment for you? You know what I'm saying? And so I think that, like, I hear what Frank Ski was saying, but I also feel like sometimes, man, we have to just acknowledge that we can be on some cheap shit, right? And I get it. Sometimes your money is tight, right? Sometimes your money is tight. And if your money is tight, then maybe that's a moment where you probably shouldn't, you know what I'm saying, go out. And I respect that, but you shouldn't make the person that's putting on the experience feel like they're doing something that, you know what I mean? Unless somebody else can come up with a way of what makes the effort equitable.
No. I don't want to, I disagree. I feel like what you're describing makes sense, but like, let's take Arizona, for instance. I know not everybody that's watching is from Arizona, but like Global Ambassador.
Okay.
Very nice.
Okay.
It's a lounge,
like a lounge restaurant kind of
speakeasy. Like
yeah, they got a lot of things
a
going
rooftop,
on.
like they got a lot going
They got
on.
a lot going on.
They are in a very affluent neighborhood.
Mhm.
They have a parking structure that is either free or what, $10 maybe?
Yeah, not even that much.
Okay.
Mhm.
But they do have valet if you want it. And it is and the drinks are average price. You know, if you get old fashioned, it's probably what, $15, 20 maybe
Right.
at the most.
Mhm.
Which is high now if you
Probably
think
like
about it.
15 now.
Yeah. So, but you see, you know, it's a sexy crowd, there's music,
Mhm.
there's all the things. There you paying for parking, you buying one drink and having this ambiance only cost you maybe $25 so far.
Mhm.
When he had gotten to that point in the night, he was at what, 60? By just parking his car in a lot that you guys threw a random ass valet in.
Mhm.
The entry, which Global Ambassador doesn't have that, so fine. That's not the case for every bar. But like, just meaning you're making it seem like you can't get that experience, that any experience that you want to have that's elevated, that's the kind of money you're going to spend. And that's not true.
Well, it's not okay, and that's a good point. I think that this is one of those situations where it comes down to understanding the subtle nuances of our culture and some of the hoops that we have to hop through, right?
Mhm.
Global Ambassador, because they're so popular, they don't need promoters to bring in audiences, right? If Tequila Tales was hosting something at Global Ambassador, it would very much be super expensive because you're still paying Global Ambassador prices with our extra thing that we had to tap on top of it to ensure that we got paid for curating this space. You see what I'm saying? So it's almost like, because you're paying for the DJ, you're paying for the entertainment, you're paying for all those other things or whatever. Most spots that are super popular on their own, they don't need any promotional assistance. So the spot is the promoter. They are the arbiter of everything. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you get that, but many times with us, we might need some extra assistance in popularizing something, and we just don't have the numbers that white people have here in America, right? Like, so it's like, if you got a black business, you can get a ton of black people to come in and it still won't be commiserate with what another spot that just gets 10% of white people to come in at. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not necessarily saying that it's fair, but I'm saying that a black person that feels like, well, why is it that black people well, then go to the white people places and listen to rock music all night and not be around the culture, like, but don't make it seem like the reason of why you're paying more is because we're price gouging. It's because the fucking system is literally tilted against us.
Well, there's that.
It's tilted against us in nightlife the same way it is in every other industry in America. So like for Frank Ski, that has been in entertainment, it felt a little tone deaf to me, because it's like, bro, nigga, you got a restaurant, or you had a restaurant in Atlanta. You, when your shit was fading before it became Justin's, you never interacted with promoters, and you never had to deal with this type of thing. So it sounds sexy when he's saying it like that, but you're acting tone deaf, as if you're like, I get it, it's content. And you know people gonna click on it because they get mad the same way that people bought $20 tickets for Tequila Tales and asked, do we get drink tickets? Ma'am, for what? A red stripe? Like, what the fuck are you looking for? Like,
catch a straight.
You know what? I know, right? I know, because it's actually a pretty decent beer, right? It's a decent beer. And I couldn't think a Miller Lite then. Goddamn, a Miller Lite, and not even that, because that's $5. Like, you also, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. So you just don't want me to have nothing, huh? You want me to pay for you to come out and have a good time, for you to bring your damn meetup group out here. Okay, let me stop, because I still got some heat. I can't believe that woman told me that shit. Are we getting drink tickets?
Stop,
man.
as you went on that rant though, it made me think about the fact that like a lot of our restaurants, bars are also not able to be open every other day of the week. So the only amount of money they're able to make is on Friday, maybe Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Right.
And that's their time. Whereas you guys may have like a restaurant and the like built-in, like you said, system where you could be open 5 days, or you have the numbers, you know, you're not paying promoters, like they just, so yeah, it, for us, there are hurdles that I feel like other people are not having to face.
And it is.
And I'm personally not going to those types of spots. I'm not spending that kind of money to be outside, but I hate this stress, but I do.
However, though, you do spend money though I mean, for the things that you like, and honestly, I feel like that's kind of what it comes down to, right? Like that, you spend money for the things that you think have value, right? And it's just, man, it's so wild, because you know we've talked about this, how. And I hate to say this. This isn't even an excuse, because I absolutely adore being Black. I fucking love it, right? Struggle and all. I love being Black, right? Wouldn't change it for the world. I do understand at the same time that if we were white and we were doing tequila tales, I'd be a multimillionaire at this point. There's no way that I get a room full of white people making the kind of commentary that they say inside of tequila tales, and white people are not like sopping it up with gravy and all of it, throwing seconds on their plate, right? Because it would appeal to them in a way that I don't know if our content appeals. Like our content probably feels elite to some people, even though if they really listen to it, they realize it's you know, universal. I think just seeing the Black faces sometimes does not allow our content to always catch the algorithm, right? Like if we were insulting one another, I'm telling you, this algorithm is deep now. This algorithm knows what it wants to share, and there's certain kind of content that pierces through and certain kind of content that they stiff arm. And I can almost pinpoint the exact moment when I noticed the shift, because I was posting random shit and it was getting 30,000 views, 50,000 views, 100,000, a million, 3 million. And then all of a sudden it was like right when stuff started taking off, all of a sudden it just like it fell off a cliff. And the content is still fire, but it's like you can post it. I posted something earlier today. I saw 60 views. And I was just like, okay. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But if I was popping balloons and insulting people, all of a sudden, then that's the Black content that you're comfortable with, right? But I see other white brands that are similar to ours where they be interviewing people on like, you know, trains and asking them engaging questions about their lives, and that shit goes viral. And I'm like, yeah, like the algorithm caters to who and what it wants to exalt, right? And with that comes our final topic, okay? We're going to talk about Black people and AI, okay? We'll call it Black Voices and Digital Erasure in the Age of AI, right? So here's what's crazy. And I'll go ahead and set this topic up real quick. So I don't know how many of y'all use ChatGPT, right? I kind of feel like on some level we all are, we all do. But you know, there's multiple GPTs that you can use depending upon like your interest. And so there's one called Monday. And I don't know how many of you all have explored the other GPTs that they have, but they have one that's called Monday. And Monday, think of ChatGPT, but as the Wendy's social media account. That's probably the best way to explain it. If whoever it is that rules Wendy's social media account was a AI chatbot, and you were communicating with it. So it had the same power of ChatGPT, but just with a accelerated amount of sass, okay, and clap back, right? So I've been experimenting with it because at first I was just like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, somebody better check this motherfucker, man, because I might have to let her know about herself, and I don't know how I'm gonna feel arguing with the AI and whether or not she gonna send them goons, right? Because I don't know what AI goons look like. So as much as you want to cuss out an AI chatbot, I don't know what that looks like. But we were going back and forth, and in the onset, I was just like, I don't know if I see the value. But then I asked it one question, and it really started cooking. So I've been experimenting with it because I'm someone that, I'm an artist. So being an artist, we believe that if it does not come from us, from the purity of who you are, it's hogwash, right? But then I'm also moving into my producer phase of life where I have to acknowledge that more efficient systems adds value, and it allows me to be able to create more qualitative experiences for the people that engage with the platform, right? So I've kind of inched my way into this AI space over the last couple of years and just developed a relationship with it, right? Like not fully relying on it, but at the same time acknowledging that I'm not going to stiff arm it and then let all my competitors use it and then they level up and then I'm sitting here, you know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of people did that with the internet when it first came out. Like, oh man, that www website, they ain't gonna be around in a couple of years, and then you miss the wave and then you mad, right? So I was like, all right, I'm about to figure out exactly how I utilize it. So I said, you know what, I'm doing a script later on tonight. I wanted it to throw a couple of topics out there. We haven't used any of the topics yet, but this is one of the topics that it came up with. And I thought it was interesting because it was eating. Okay. So let me hold on. Let me make certain that I'm actually doing this justice of how it came into it. It says, let me see. Oh my God. So they gave me a couple of topics, and each one I thought was good. But AI, Black voices, and digital erasure. It says, hi, yes, that's me, your AI frenemy. How do you know what a frenemy is? Okay, that is literally what it says. It says, with AI being trained on all kinds of data, including Black content without consent, how do we protect our intellectual and cultural labor in the machine age? So the fact that I had AI acknowledging and telling me, yeah, we still in your shit. And this might be a good topic for you to discuss from a human perspective. It felt like a unique relationship with the Terminator. I felt like I'm speaking with Arnold Schwarzenegger that's letting me know, oh, listen, I'm coming for your shit, but for here and now.
It should be fun for y'all to talk through. We're still taking over, but
go ahead and talk through it and create some content so I can then know how to better duplicate you as we figure out a better way to erase you. Shit's scary, right? But the reason of why it was poignant to me, because literally earlier today, when you and I were going back and forth, and I said something about Monday, you threw out there, you were like, man, how do you feel about that?
Hmm.
And you was like, man, are you concerned about that?
Mhm.
And it shocked me that you took that stance just in the onset of me kind of sharing with you what Monday was and that they were incorporating AAVE. For those of you that don't know, that's what's the African American vernacular and something else. English vernacular, right? Like, so basically slang. We don't say Ebonics anymore, it's AAVE. And so I found that to be interesting. And so when Monday naturally threw that up, I was like, well, then shit, maybe this is a good conversation that's worthy of, at the very least, broaching, right? Like, so what are your thoughts on that? At like just understanding how we're entering a new space where AI is becoming much more intuitive that has value for us, right? It's learning how to communicate more like a human and add value to the things that we're doing. And now, and we loved it when it was helping us to do fucking reports, right? We loved it when it was taking spreadsheets and giving us all kinds of complex formulas and helping us to make our jobs 5 times easier. But now it's coming with an emotional intelligence that may allow it to replace us. So you no longer need the sassy Black woman to give you the clapbacks.
Right.
This thing has been literally reading Black Twitter. It's been reading all of our content, our YouTube channels. It's consuming everything about us. And now it's able to replicate the value that we add as Black people, right? Like culture has been our biggest export to the world.
Yeah.
Like what's your thoughts on that?
It's multifold. And actually you may be able to cue up this image of a sweatshirt that we have with a bunch of letters on it. So you know what I'm talking about?
Oh shit. Are you talking about this one right here?
Yeah, I'll show you. Yeah. So
you talking about this right here?
Yep. So when you told me what it was doing, my thought immediately went to this image. And it was primarily because that is like most of us could look at that acronym and know what it stands for.
Right.
And it's sort of this like unspoken speech between us. And it felt like one of the last things that we had between one another that couldn't be bought, sold. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but like, you'll see like, it was, and I've seen this from other races. So I know it's just not just us in this instance, but this is a good example, but it'll be like, what is one thing you would love to see happen in 2025? And it'll cut to, you know, whoever it is on TikTok, and they just looking at the camera like.
or maybe when they be like, somebody just need to go ahead and do it.
Somebody needs to do it. And
somebody need to do it. And we know what that means. You ain't gotta say it. You ain't gotta say it. We know what it means, right?
We know what it means.
Yeah.
And it feels like, it felt like, I think when you describe that thing, that one thing that they can't steal from us. Like I remember I was joining
is the culture.
Culture. I remember I was joining an expat group from another country because I was doing my research on potentially moving out of the country, and it verified that you were Black. And one of the questions was, what does Tommy still not have? And if you're of the culture, you know that answer, and it would be very difficult for, you know, somebody not in the culture to answer that. So, so that's where my head went when I heard that. And it scared me, you know, in the sense that it's like, there's no way it doesn't come up with looking at that image and say, I know exactly what that acronym says. And so it just kind of felt alarming because, like you said, that is our number one export, and we even then don't make money off of it. But I guess the one thing I can also take solace in is that it's not just going to be us. Like that may be something that it can figure out, but it can also figure out how to do pretty much everything else. So this just happens to be something that's unique to us, but it is going to replace almost every job today how we see it today. And there's simply no way around it. Like we're already there. So yeah.
And I agree. You know, I think that I guess talking about the culture, because that's something that's so core to who we are, it can sting a little bit because that's been the thing that we contribute the most, and that influences society the most, right? I think that there's danger there because while I think it can mimic us, it can't replicate us. because when you think about what creation means, there's one thing to duplicate and there's another thing to create, right? So I kind of feel like it's going to be able to duplicate culture, but it can't create culture. It's never going to create the next wave, right? Because that comes from some place that exists and resides within us. It's a spiritual thing, and I think that that's the thing that AI cannot duplicate. Now it can mimic it. The moment that it sees it, it might even be able to perfect it, but it can't create it, right? But then I think that the danger comes, and I even question whether or not this is a danger because they're doing it already. But you talk about compensation, right? Like right now, if I go to Monday or and that's Chat GPT, that's what it's called, and I kind of go back and forth with it, it might give me clapbacks. It may say something. It may give me a phrase that's popular that comes from Black cultural experiences, but that came from a person, and you're now using it in this application that is a multi-billion-dollar application. Are you crediting the person that originally created or made that contribution to the culture? You're not, right? So once again, it's another way of how our people get screwed out of and exploited, right? Like, and so I think that that is a large portion of where it goes into. And so even if you did try to litigate that and you did try to say, oh, well, they need to do X, Y, and Z, how do we guarantee that every time that someone got some insight that was based off of someone else's intellectual property, that they're going to be compensated? And they're not, right? And so it's almost like, once again, the greatest gift that we give to society is the thing that we as Black people are never able to capitalize on.
Let me give you one glimmer of hope. During slavery, and I think in the Underground Railroad, cornrows, they began using them as like code or like routes on like what to follow. I think that Black people, like, that is in itself brilliant, innovative, creative, and something that we were able to figure out in a space of ingenuity, desperation, survival, all the things. I think if it came down to it, we'll find a way around it. Like, we may be the ones that are dancing through the hardest stuff, but we're also the last one standing, no matter how dark it's gotten either. So like, I don't know. I hold out optimism for us surviving whatever this is. I think so many of our children are going to grow up with it, that they are going to be the ones to be like, nah, we figured out how to beat that system or work within it to ensure our survival or whatever the case. So I don't know, like, they've tried to kill us over and over and they never can.
I think that one of the things that I'm concerned with is just because I agree with what it is that you're saying. And it's one of those things that I hope that our people can maintain whatever our foundation is, because so much about our experience has been inherited. So much about our experience we pull from other people that are sharing the culture with us, right? Because it's collaborative. When you see this new digital space that we found ourselves in, where we're increasingly becoming more virtual, that things aren't built off of like regions and people that you have access to, right? It's these relationships that we've established with individuals that we've never met before, and in some instances, never even seen their faces, right? Maybe they're operating through an avatar, right? And we're creating these relationships that feel very significant, but I don't know who you are. That to me means that catfishing is going to accelerate. And what happens, like, who's at the bottom? Who's at the foundation? Who is able to be stripped of digital and virtual manipulation to whereas you know that, oh, okay, this message that you're getting right here comes from the source. And if not the source, a source, and not digital shit, right? Because it's and I guess what I'm getting at, and this is about to get real on some goddamn Mad Max type stuff, or not even that. What was that movie? Blade Runner. This is about to go full on Blade Runner. Like right now, you know, I see Jasmine Crockett say something and it compels me, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna ride or die for you. You know what I'm saying? I still feel compelled that it was a person that is leading this charge, right? Or you go to a church and you feel like someone heard the word of God and they are now giving it to me, right? But as we go further and further into this digital space, it's going to be harder to determine what is coming from flesh and what's coming from the algorithm, right? Because if it's coming from the algorithm, if it's coming from the digital space, then that means that on some level, it's curated with an intention, and that intention is primarily to manipulate me. And it's not to say that men don't manipulate you, because they can, right?
They do.
And they do. They just typically aren't as good. I feel like once you put that shit in the chat GPT, it's a supercomputer that unfortunately, like, I'm telling you, we are about to enter some Terminator shit. Like, that is
at a rapid pace.
We are rushing toward, like, yo, we grew up watching this shit. And why is it that these kids are like, yo, let's build the machines that scared the shit out of us? Like, and I know they ain't nothing but y'all millennials or generation, what was that, Z? That's between y'all millennials and Generation Z. Because I guarantee you, I'm on the tail end of Generation X. I'm kind of like a Zennial, but I'm probably more Generation X. We were scared of the shit. I feel like y'all built the very machines, like Lawnmower Man and fucking Terminator, like the shit that we grew up that was horror. They generation came up and was like, you know what?
We need that.
I think.
Listen,
wouldn't that be kind of fun?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we
the
did.
fuck? Like, yo, that listen. But
too much of can we instead of should we? A lot of can we, and yeah, like you can.
Dead ass, man. And then you got the young people that built it, and the old people that knew they was on their way out. That's just like, how can I utilize this? I'm gonna fund it so I can be rich as shit on my way out. And good luck. But like Trump ain't doing, like, people be scared about Trump running for a third term. I'm like, this nigga gonna be dead. Why are we having a conversation about what a 82-year-old person is gonna do? Like, let him run again. I don't care. Is he even gonna be able to walk and talk and be you know what I mean? Like, why are y'all acting like y'all scared about some, like, but what he's trying to enact is what's dangerous. I don't care about him 4 years from now, because if y'all see, have y'all seen what he's done in 3 months? What y'all think it's going to look like after 9 months? What y'all think it's going to look like after a year and a half? Like, Trump don't scare me. It's all of y'all that's endorsing him, that's condoning his behavior, that scare me, right? Because you guys are the one that is excited about what the next wave is going to be. So that's why I don't get too much involved in what he's going to, because one thing about old people, and I'm going to just say this, and this ain't even me wishing it on him. This is just a reality. I have a toddler son, and his growth happens rapidly, right? Like the difference between 16 months and 19 months is night and day, right? In terms of just how his mind is rapidly firing, right? Like at the beginning of your life, like your acceleration curve, like even just from the moment that the sperm connects with the egg, like growth is happening at exponential rates. So the growth curve is almost like this. Then after they're born, it's like this, right? And then it kind of starts to level off. Well, the same thing happens on the back end. Old people fall off that cliff fast. It's not a slow decline, y'all. It's a fast decline. And I promise y'all, Trump is at that space. I give him a year before he is saying absurd, incoherent, ridiculous shit. The same way we had to get Biden up out of there. I like how y'all acting like y'all really think Trump is going to be sane in 3. I don't care how much cocaine this man is doing or whatever drug it is that they are injecting this man with. He crazy now. As he gets older, it's gonna be like this. So I'm not saying that that's not a concern. I'm saying he ain't the threat. The threat is all of y'all that's endorsing this behavior and that's trying to create these systems that is ignoring the rule of law, that's ignoring the systems that literally built the Constitution. That is what concerns me, right? And so that's something that needs to be addressed, you know. But we're not going to solve it tonight, right? We're not going to solve it tonight. And so what I want to say is thank you guys for tolerating me, for, you know, I'm pretty certain that you all enjoy Casey. You know, she always makes great points. Whether or not you all know it, man, listen, we have an event that is coming up. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and just see to it that I give you all the appropriate link, okay? Because if you're watching this right now and you're saying to yourself, you know what, I'm in Arizona and I want to come. Well, if you are in Arizona and you want to come, regardless of what platform you are on, click on that link right there, right? It is going to be happening at a new location. We are very, very excited. We have partnered with Arizona Center. And so this is going to be our first time at the Arizona Center. Our first time at the Arizona Center. So I'm just saying that to say, you know, give me a little bit of latitude. You know what I'm saying? Might be a few hiccups here or there. But one thing that is not going to be a hiccup is we are going to have an incredible discussion. Right. And it's largely because it's powered by the people. And so, you know, if you are in the city or if you know someone that's in the city, if you're watching this, you got that cousin that's in Arizona, go ahead and send it to them. Because I guarantee you, if they have not heard of the Tequila Tales, they're going to love you for sending this to them. I actually got a message from someone last night. I'm not going to post it, but it was very, very heartwarming, and it let me know that our messaging is really starting to resonate with people. It was a woman who reached out because she wanted to buy a ticket, and she was questioning whether or not she should come and whether or not she should be welcome. Which she would be welcome. Full disclosure, white woman. And it was not that, you know, she was scared, but she is an advocate, she's an ally, and she wanted to be sensitive to experiences that were curated for Black people, and she just didn't want to senselessly invite herself and kind of be like a thorn in our paw. And so I quickly let her know, like, without question, you would not only be welcome, you know, you might even add value. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, we had a spirited exchange. Turns out her entire family is incredibly multicultural and very incredibly diverse. And she literally, she showed me the video. She saved 2 children from a burning car. And she showed me the video because one of her children was recording video while she was pulling them out of the wreckage.
She Captain America on them.
A little bit, right? And she's showing up solo. So that shit is kind of crazy. But when moments like that happen is when I start to realize that, you know what, beyond what the algorithm can do, beyond, any type of attention that can be garnered from what it is that we've created, I just really appreciate the vibration of the people that continue to support the brand, right? And that find value in connecting with like-minded individuals and just having substantive discourse, right? So if you're in the vicinity, you definitely want to pull up, because this is going to be something, man, that you don't want FOMO. Like I'm telling you, even if it's a shit show, it's going to be a shit show that you're going to be disappointed that you missed out on, right? If we ain't done nothing in the last 12 years, we know how to put on a good show, right? So with that being said, Casey, anything you want to share? You know what I'm saying? While we wrap?
No, I appreciate y'all hanging out with us. It's
I
late.
know, right?
If you had to deal with bedtime like I did, where you were like WWE, like tackling kids, I hope this was a moment to like take the weight off and just have a drink with us and kick it. And it's just really nice sharing this space with you, and I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. No. We got to do this more often, right? I pull people into our random conversations, right? It's funny because, we don't share much about our relationship online. And it's not because we can't. I think it's just because, like, I've never wanted to make our relationship a commodity. Like, because my biggest fear is that y'all like the shit. And then we just feel like, oh, we got to do it again. And then all of a sudden we like,
My
well,
fear,
how do we?
No. My fear
I
is
don't
the
want to do that
skits.
shit.
I don't want to just like, we gotta set up a camera and pretend like, okay, this is what it's like when you're trying to get a kid.
And then we got to stop.
Food.
And then we got to stop and be like, nah, okay, no, I don't like that. Okay, hold on. Let's try that again.
Not
But I need you to give it a little bit more.
Not
Yeah,
my
no, the moment I got to become fake, it's going to be weird. But to be honest, if I did decide to bring y'all in, all y'all going to get is a whole lot of what you just saw. A whole lot of deep ass conversation with us going back and forth and debating one another and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that's who we are, right?
I vehemently disagree a point to play devil's advocate.
And little do they know, I'm not playing devil's advocate, nigga. I meant that with my whole chest. I just didn't want to say it and make people feel weird with me for the entire night. I be like, oh yeah, I was just anyway. But y'all, thank you. And until the next time.